Okay, welcome back to our continuing evolution of the music library. And in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to do a couple things. One is we're going to add a common 404 page for our entire website. So, for example, if someone were to type in a URL and they made a typo, and what they would get is this object not found. Now, this isn't particularly graceful, is not a particularly graceful way to handle errors. What we really want to do is we want to keep the user within our site. So for example, we want them to see our consistent header and footer. We want them to be able to navigate back to a proper page. So there is a way to handle that within PHP. And again, I'm using the Apache web server on my local host, but it would also be the same if I was using other hosting providers. Some hosting providers, I believe Azure, may have some different settings. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file, just a basic file. And the type of file, I'm just going to call it htaccess. And what this file does is the web server will actually read this file to learn how to deal with certain types of errors. So I'm going to tell it what to do with 404 errors. So I'm going to say error document 404. So that's the type of error that we get. And again, if I were to have a typo in here, oops. Oh, interesting. This one gives me a 500 error. Would have thought it'd been a 404. Triggered a okay, found. All right, interesting. Server, maybe my server is actually just offline. Maybe that's part of that. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, anyways, let's continue with this lesson and see where it goes. All right, so for 404s, we're going to just redirect it to one of our web pages. In this case, I'm going to say localhost. You would typically use whatever your web's, your actual services URL is, and I'm going to say Spring 17. And I'm going to call it 404.php. So if you get a 404 error, I'm basically telling the web service, I want to redirect here to this page, this 404. And then here we can do what we've been doing, create a new PHP file, and I'm going to call this one 404. Here's what's great with all the great work we've done already in the subsequent videos. Now we can do things like page title, page not found, require once. We can reuse our header file, and at the bottom we can reuse our footer file. Let's see if this will. So right away, just by doing that, when I typed in a page that shouldn't exist for this music library, so if I typed in, albums instead of albums, it gets a 404. We see page not found, but we're still inside the environment here, right? I can still go to the albums page, add new album, I can log out. So my nav bar and everything's still intact. So the only thing we really need to do is we need to add some content in the middle here to make it a little more interesting for our users. And what I did is I grabbed it off Google. You'll have to get for anything that you put online to make sure you have the permission to use it. But I just downloaded this little graphic called Oops. So in here, I could add in need to put a height on this one because it's pretty big. So let's make it 400. Now, we type in, if we make a little typo here, you go to this 404 page, and this looks like something that looks professional and clean and says, sorry, the page is not found. Please click on a link above. And then our user can go, oh yeah, it was log in, right? And then we can have nice navigation. Now, the other thing that our page could use is is a default page or a home page. Right now, we don't really have an actual home page. So if you think of most websites that you would go to, you would typically start at some specific page. It's probably got a nice graphic or some kind of logo or something on it. And usually in the upper left of a page, they're going to have some kind of logo. Actually, even here, like if you look at, here's the Blackboard Georgian thing. You can see sort of on the left-hand side, the Georgian and Blackboard partnership. Or if we go to Best Buy, when Best Buy loads, again, they have some logo. And if I click on it, it actually takes me to their homepage. This is their homepage for today, and it's got dynamic content on it. So we're going to create a homepage next, and I'm going to call it default. So I'll do a new PHP file called default, and I'll add that to GitHub as well. Our pages are getting nice and short for creating because we have so many common files now. So I'm going to say equals there's our common header. We'll put in our comment footer. And then our content goes in the middle here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to use some more Bootstrap classes. And I'm going to use something called Jumbotron, which will give us a nice big gray box. So here's our page. We can take a look at it. So you can see how, again, because we've done so much work with like our common files like header and footer, and obviously all of the work someone else has done with Bootstrap, we don't have a lot of content here. But if we now go into our page, default. Oh, hey, look at that. I generated my own 404. There we go. So right away, we have a nice, looking homepage. Of course, we could add in some imagery and some other things that would make this look even a lot better, but this is a great start. So what we need to do is we need to add this page to our navigation up here. So we're going to go to our header file, and then we can add that specialty link. So let's do that now. So we'll go into our header file. And remember, here's where we had the nav bar, right? And we always showed the albums page. But before that, let's put in our default page. Let's call it home. Refresh, which is so fantastic here, right? Every page, because we have this common header file, gets our home. Now, the thing is, we might want our home page to be even our company name or a logo instead of the word home. So, and we want it maybe a little bit bigger. So let's let the music library. And we'll use some of our Bootstrap classes. And in here, we can use one called navbar brand. And if we hit refresh now, see how it's just that little bit bigger than the others? So it's not jumping out at you too much, but it's easy to get to. So yeah, this is looking great. Okay. So that's all I wanted to achieve in this video. Stay tuned for some more.